Partier City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation, and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
G'day and Swadika. Well, hooray for Hollywood. We had a sequel today. We had Neil Davidson come back and give another talk about Hollywood, and it was fantastic fun, and it was so comprehensive. So if you ever get a chance, you have to go on a cruise ship actually to hear Neil talk. So what's the next cruise they can catch you on?
Next one is San Francisco to Honolulu, 29th of January to the 5th of February. And I've got another one which is Alaska to Vancouver, which is sometime March. And I've got the West Indies after that. So.
There you go. So you should have a website. Just follow my cruise.
I should do. They just come to me and say come and I go. So that's it.
Anyway, he's got this comprehensive and amazing knowledge of Hollywood. Do you want to tell us one Marlon Brando story?
One I just told, or a new one?
Yeah, no. Tell us one you just told. How he legendarily didn't learn his lines, right?
No, so Marlon was I don't know why, partly because he wanted to double his fee by extending the time he was working. So in Superman, for instance, he got paid $18 million for 9 days' work and didn't learn his lines. So when he holds baby Superman up to put him on the spaceship to Earth, the lines for his lines were on the baby's nappy. When his famous look, which he looks down at the ground and says, "I could have been a contender," that's the lines were on the bottom of the taxi he's travelling at the time in the car. When he's in The Godfather, the lines are on the cap. When he's talking to Robert Duvall in The Godfather, lines on Robert Duvall's face.
And this is very intimate knowledge because you were his assistant for a while.
Yeah, well, he was an amazing man because he was very, very eccentric and had such power. As he was such a big star, he could get away with being mad, and people would let him get away with it.
I think I remember Warren Beatty saying that when Marlon Brando died, every other actor in the world would go up one place in the hierarchy.
Well, people consider him the greatest screen actor that ever lived. He had a very, very hard childhood. His father was very abusive and used to beat him up. His mother was an alcoholic. And so he became a method actor, and the way that he got so deep into the parts was because he could draw on those very, very emotional experiences to become the person or go through the emotion that he was trying to portray.
And he always argued he was more spontaneous and real by not learning the lines.
He used to improvise a lot. So in Apocalypse Now, he insisted on improvising, which was why there's so much film in that. So it was roughly 10 times as much film was taken in Apocalypse Now as it would in a normal film.
And that was an utter nightmare to make. I think a film that actually got finished, that might be the biggest nightmare story of all, was Apocalypse Now. For such a great film too.
Yes. Well, of course, when it first came out, the original idea was for Apocalypse Now to be shown at one cinema in the middle of America, and for people to go there and see it, because the sound system was totally novel. There's 26 speakers above you, and
that amazing sound at the beginning where the helicopter flies across the cinema, right?
My friend Walter was the person who designed that. He actually coined the phrase a sound designer. So you've got it's incredibly clever how it actually hits your ear from the right place and so on. And so anyway, yes, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and but it's become this sort of cult film. When it first came out, it didn't do terribly well.
Really, it did huge in Australia straight off.
Maybe in Australia, I don't know, but certainly, generally speaking, it was such a powerful film. It was a bit like Schindler's List, and it was so powerful that it was always unpleasant to watch it. And so I think audiences had to get used to going through very emotional experiences in film to actually get to want to go see it.
I remember seeing it in Australia when it debuted. They didn't have credits. They had like it was a play, like there was an actual booklet that you got with all the credits and stuff in, and so that you just became immersed in this jungle for this 2 hours plus, right? And then I remember walking out of the cinema, and I was walking into middle of Sydney, and I thought, wow, Sydney is so odd. It's like, and that must have been what the vets sort of feel coming out of the jungle back into the thing.
Well, it was the crazy thing, and there's a scene in Apocalypse Now where they have the bunny girls going into Vietnam. You can't really have a proper war and then suddenly transport someone into a Playboy club. It doesn't work. And that was part of the point of the actual film.
It's a work of a mad genius, and it drove everybody mad. I remember actually Coppola said at the end of that, and they finally finished shooting, he said, "I've never seen so many people happy to be unemployed."
Yeah. Yeah, well, it went on. I mean, I first was there in 1976 when they're working on the script, and it didn't get released until 1980. So it was 4 years of work to get it before and then it won the Palme d'Or in Cannes, of course, and has gone on to become most people's choice in the top 5.
Talking about Palme d'Or, I think the film of the year was Parasite to me, the Korean film. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you really want to see it.
Really?
That got an 8-minute standing ovation at Cannes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Korean
wow.
film. I think it's a shoo-in for Best Foreign Language Film.
Oh, wow.
So what was your pick of films this year that really stood out, something that stood out for you?
That is the hardest question I've been asked all day because there's nothing I've liked.
I thought Joker was an exceptional
I
film.
haven't seen it.
So I'll just talk about the films this year because he is a classic golden years of Hollywood guy. But you have seen the latest Star Wars.
I went to see it here in Chiang Mai, and it's rubbish.
Yeah, I thought they got it all wrong. It was like a witches and warlocks film. It wasn't like Star Wars at all.
Well, what it is, in fact, is the reason the original Star Wars, Gary Kurtz was the co-producer on it, and so he got upset because it turned from being a story and a series of stories into a merchandising vehicle, and he said, I don't want to be involved any longer. So now all it is Disney thinking I can sell this, I can sell that on the back of it. Yeah. So they make a kind of a story, but it's more about selling stuff through stores.
And The Force Awakens, I mean, that was just a remake of the whole plot.
I mean, they're all pretty much similar, because if you give someone the same, that's why McDonald's is successful, because they like to have the same thing. People have the same experience again.
So the strange thing now is that TV is the cutting edge.
Yeah, TV. They've got time to. They've got the money. I mean, Amazon is like mega, and they're all fighting to get the prime space on television. So they're making very high quality stuff. Spielberg's involved in television. Scorsese's involved in television, and they know that's where a lot of the future is. So they're getting involved in these long series, and the quality of that, I think, is better than anything else.
Certainly, the writing's far superior,
it's amazing.
Hugely. And if you're a writer on TV, you're like revered, right? Because they need a lot of material out of you, whereas in film they say, oh, here's the script, here's the money, go away, don't bother us again. Unless, of course, it's Disney. They have to keep their writers on for long periods.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's one of the reasons Disney films are so great. Yeah. Neil, it's just been an amazing, wonderful experience having you here again, and I hope we can lure you back here.
Anytime. I've got 13 more you can listen to.
Well, bye for now, and MGM, goodbye. Okay, bye.